Hello and welcome to another StemAcademy tutorial. What we're looking at is the extension version of the combined animation where we're bringing together three separate animations, and that's the Pong game, the algorithm for the Pong game, and the introduction, project introduction. So what you're looking at here is the finished product. I'm just going to very quickly, because it's a little bit long, I'm just going to quickly run over some of the things you need to watch out for. The first thing is that you need to obviously save all of your sprites and your backdrops for the three separate things, or sorry, for the two, not the first one. So the introduction, you start with that, and then you're going to have to save your sprites and your backdrops for the other two animations, and then you're going to have to import them in here, and so you can see them all in here, and then likewise the backdrops, you can see them. So this is the three backdrops. That's for the first animation segment, which is the intro. This is for the second animation segment, which is the algorithm that explains how the Pong game works. And then this is the third backdrop, which is the actual Pong game. Similarly, over here, you've got the 5 sprites here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they are the 5 sprites for the introduction. And then you have the sprites 1, 2, 3, 4 sprites here for the second middle animation segment, which is the algorithm that explains how the Pong game works. And then the actual Pong game itself, you've got the final 4 sprites, 2 paddles and 2 balls, and they belong to the final animation. Great, so you need to make sure that you get that sorted out properly first. It's not difficult, it's just easy to make a mistake because you've got lots of things flying around. Okay, the second thing is that you need a transition, and we're just the simplest way. You could do it all sorts of ways, but the simplest way is probably just to use the backdrops. So we're going to use the appearance of these backdrops to signal the beginning of these codes, just like we did with the simpler example. So that means you need to find in the code where to switch those backdrops. So, well, sorry, in the very beginning, then that's why you need to switch to the first backdrop. So that's why that block is there. And then at the end of that segment, this is the end of the segment, you need to switch then to the backdrop for the second animation segment. Then that will then signal, then you need to swap out the when green flag clicked to the when backdrop switches to for all of these 4 sprites that belong to the middle animation. And then at the end, you need to find the animation, you need to find the sprite that is going to be at the very end of that middle animation, which is going to be here, the code one. And then I've put the switch to the third final backdrop you see down here, and that's then going to be the signal for the third segment animation to start up, which is going to be, see here, and then I've switched out the when green flag clicked to when the final backdrop shows up. Right, so that's your signaling and your transitioning. So the other thing to mention is that because you've got a series of animations, what you need to do, which is what we haven't had to do when we've only had one animation, is you've got to hide your animations, you see. So you've got to hide, and that's why in these animations that haven't begun yet, I've got a when green flag clicked, you've got to hide those sprites because you don't want them to show until it's their turn, okay? And then similarly, let's say here in the middle animation, so that's hiding them until they're ready. But then when they've finished their business, you've got to hide them again so they're not hanging around in the third segment, okay? So you've basically got to add show and hides so that the sprites are only appearing for their segment. And that's the other thing that we have not had to do in the when you've got one animation going. And that's it really. They're the things to watch out for, and just lots of testing.